Good morning. How you guys doing? This morning we're going to switch it up. Because switching it up, well, that's the only consistent is that things are different. I woke up, things are different. Woke up yesterday, things are different again. Tomorrow they'll be different again. Switching it up. The only consistent is the new experience. So this morning we're going to talk about one of my core beliefs. Oh man, and there's violence involved this morning. Violence. Verbal violence. Full disclaimer this morning. You're going to hear some cuss words. You're going to hear some things that make you uncomfortable. You're going to hear some things that maybe you don't agree with. And while you may not agree to some other things in the other videos, this one's going to slap you right in the face. So let's get into it, because I like to fight. We're going to talk about freedom today. Freedom. That word. That word right there has led to more violence in the world than anything else. And every bit of it was necessary, in my opinion. Remember, we're talking philosophy, and we're talking about my opinion. Not the truth of it, just how I view it. And if you don't like how I view it, well, you're already infringing upon my freedom to do whatever the fuck I want. And you can sit down and shut up. Let's just start there. See, this idea of freedom, like we have some God-given things, right? Like I have the freedom to this and the freedom of that. Depending on what country you live in, you have certain freedoms. Depending on what religion you have certain freedoms. In fact, you could say that freedom is the word that I use to define whether or not you're a fucking slave. Remember, we're not pulling punches on this video. I try to be coy and couth and refined when I talk in my videos, but this one's right in your face. Because this one doesn't care about your feelings at all. And in fact, it's probably why I'm making this video, because of my ability to see the fact that your bullshit that you believe is infringing upon my right to be free. And the idea that somehow you've developed a lifestyle or a mindset where you feel entitled to stop my freedom in any way, shape, or form. If I decide to jump off a fucking cliff and kill myself, if I decide to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, if I decide to say fuck Christians, it doesn't matter what I do. I have the freedom to do so. I can do it. Is there consequences? Yes. But do I have the right to choose every fucking action and everything in my life? Abso-fucking-lutely. Do you have the right to stop me from doing that? Bet you don't. And the reason why is as I understand how easy it is to no longer be free. I could go and tell you sob stories about being locked in boxes, spending years in solitary confinement, being ostracized from groups of people and being treated a certain way, being looked down on or thought about in a certain way based on misconceptions, based on not conforming. You can call me William Wallace because I go around burning things down that are locked doors. I don't even remotely care. And this energy that I have towards being free, I wanted to pass along to you this morning. I wanted to talk to you about it. I want to talk to you about being a slave. Now, I know that there's this demograph in the world called racism, and that certain people immediately close their mind down when they hear a white person talk about slavery. Immediately. 100% of the time, I know they're uneducated, so I never even take racism seriously. And not people that are racist, because they get punched in their mouth. Try me. Try me. But the people that think that someone else is racist based on their race, that reverse racism, I don't ever get mad about it. It doesn't take very long to have a conversation with me to understand that my lack of racism is offensive. Even to, even to colored people, which is weird, which is weird to me because I'm pink, right? My skin's not white. I mean, it's got a lack of pigment in it, but I'm Irish. I'm Irish. And I don't think, in fact, I know that most people don't have a fucking clue about Irish history at all. At all. The black slave trade out of Africa was Arabs and other black people selling their enemies that they'd made slaves to fucking white people. They were already slaves in Africa before they were purchased. That's true. That's the fucking history, and it was terrible and it's fucked up. And all those white slavers can get fucking bent. Do you know why I say that though? Do you know why Irish people are in America? This is a thing that people never want to talk about. It's like this hush hush, forget about it, give them a day to get drunk and fucking pretend it never happened type thing. But like St. Patty, St. Patty went over and it says he removed the snakes from Ireland. What he did is he killed all the druids and all the witches and all the Celtic people and all the fucking everybody. If they believed in anything other than Jesus Christ, he put them to the fucking sword. That's St. Patty. And in America, they have Irish people celebrating the fact that their ancestors were put to the sword, and killed in mass. And then the same people that did that, the Queen of England, were taking all the food from Ireland and only leaving us potatoes, which were getting rotten, and we had a famine. And then white people from fucking England came over and said, well, you can be an indentured servant. 3 generations of servitude, and you can be free in America. And so we came across on the same slave boats. And when we got here, African American was worth $100 a head for a black male. An Irish indentured servant was worth $10 a head. And we had to serve 3 generations. And you go, whoa, look at all how long slavery went. Look, the average length of a human life is 100 years. We started the United States 3 peoples ago. Not some perceived amount of time 3 people ago. We started the fucking world here in the United States. Like, it wasn't that long, maybe 3.5 people ago at this point. So that means that like 80% of people that came over to America were fucking slaves. Everybody that built this country, we're all slaves. Everybody that their ancestors had nothing, we're all slaves. Why is it that the same people that were slaves when we built this country are still the lower class people of this country? You ever notice that? Lack of freedom. And not because you don't have the same options, they just don't teach you. It's not even a racial thing for the elite, it's a fucking education thing for the masses. They don't have to stop anything. All they have to do is limit how much knowledge you can teach yourself. And they count on how lazy people are to keep the system going. If everybody got a college education, it'd be over. It'd been over fucking 40 years ago, 50 years ago. But it hasn't been. It's still running the same way. And it's based on a lack of freedom. And they talk about slavery as a past tense. Slavery as a past tense had an ending. The current slave system that we live in doesn't have any arc to it. There's no beginning and end. There's no stopping it. There hasn't been a revolution. There hasn't been a change in the money system. There hasn't been a change in the education system. There hasn't been a fucking change. There's no freedom. None. And yet we say that we're like educated. And it's this other person's fault. And this other group's fault. This other race's fault. What's the common denominator in all the stupid shit? Money. What are you a slave to? Money. What are you willing to compromise who you are as a human being over? Money. What are you willing to turn the other cheek for? Money. What do you pray for at night that you don't have enough of? Money. What is it that drives you to get out of bed every day and go to that job? Money. Who puts your kids in school? Money. What makes sure you have enough to eat? Money. Heat in the fucking house? Money. There isn't one aspect of your life that doesn't center and revolve around fucking money. Period. It's not that we don't have enough resources. It's not that we haven't built factories that can mass produce anything you want within 48 hours, barring high level machines in which we can get it done in a couple of months. It's just money. Money's a concept of barter and trade. That's all. The idea of exchange for life, right? Here's a squash, you gave me a banana. You know, I shot this deer and I gave you 20 pounds of beef and you gave me fucking 5 bushels of potatoes. That's where the concept of money comes, exchanging so both people benefit. The very thing that made us free to live our own lives, helping each other, being able to rely on the people around you to not die from starvation or cold, that's your God. That simple interaction between humans, it literally takes nothing. You were going to shoot the deer anyway. You're already growing the fucking potatoes. But that goodwill feeling, that freedom to help your neighbor because you want to, not because you're obligated to, that's the freedom that's been stolen from everyone. That's the freedom. That's part of the core problem that exists in the world. Something that's so simple, that's part of life. You gotta eat, you gotta sleep, you gotta stay warm enough that you don't freeze to death. Do you know how long ago we conquered that problem? Do you have any idea how long ago we conquered that problem for the world? Isn't it weird? And I spoke on this in the last video. Isn't it weird that there's still people living in grass huts? The Red Cross is the only people that bring them food outside of what they catch on like the savannah. Anybody else find that fucking weird? You can go down to the grocery store and buy 300 loaves of bread and they have another 1,000 in the back. But those people have only seen bread twice in the last year. Freedom. This idea and concept that you're free. This is the only lie that matters. It's the only one that stops humanity, is that you're not free. That's it. You're not free to think how you want. You're not free to feel how you want. Certain feelings are bad for you. Certain ideas are bad for you. Acting in a certain way is bad for you. You shouldn't do these things over here. This is socially impolite, and you definitely shouldn't do any of these things either. And you shouldn't cuss, because when you cuss and use profanity, you just don't sound intelligent anymore. And you shouldn't read these books over here, because those people, oh, they're Marxists and they're sexist and they're racist. But you should read these books over here. And I want you to understand that there's fucking 22 different fucking versions of male and female now. And we don't care about biology. And we don't care about anything. We want you to have the freedom to look like a complete fucking idiot and tear down society. And I'm not being specific about LGBTQ or not. No, I'm not. What you do sexually isn't who you are. News fucking flash. You can suck all the dicks or eat all the pussy you want. It doesn't change who you are as a person. Just because you sexually like or dislike something doesn't mean fuck all. Your entire identity is your sexual identity. I've heard of slaves. But someone really convinced you to make yourself that small that just who you are sexually is who you are as a human being? That's how you define yourself? That's how you interact with every day? That's who you are inside? Cool, who gives a fuck? Nobody. Nobody gives a fuck if you're gay. Nobody gives a fuck if you're gay. Nobody cares if you like women, but you have to be a dude to like women so you can be a lesbian, so you can balance in your head. Nobody gives a fuck. So like women and dress like a chick. Be a woman, even though you can't produce a fucking child. Go ahead. Tell us how it is. But why is it? Why is it that your entire identity is based on that? I'm not making fun of you for being gay or trans or anything else. I'm making fun of you that you literally just put a rubber ducky on your fucking head and said, I'm just a rubber ducky. I can't talk anymore. I can just float in the water and I go squeak when somebody squeezes me and I'm just a rubber ducky. You're a whole fucking human being. Who told you that the only way you can be whole is to identify as less than a whole fucking human being? Why would you give up your freedom? Who gives a fuck who you're having sex with? Unless it's a minor. If you're having sex with a minor, you're going in the wood chipper. If you're having sex with animals, you're going in the fucking wood chipper. There's certain things we don't do as human beings. It's really simple. Remember I said there's going to be violence. Because I don't want anybody to think that just because you have freedom, that I don't have the freedom to put my fucking boot in your fucking throat. Or anyone else for that matter. Like, someone else, if I'm fucking up, in my opinion, has the right to come put their boot on my fucking throat. They have the freedom to decide that. I have the freedom to defend myself and my decisions. I also have the discernment to understand that my decisions, if I'm making them and they're self-harm and they're harming others and they're doing negative things to society, that I'm wrong. I have that understanding. I have the freedom to decide for myself what's right and wrong. Nobody on TV is telling me how it works. There is no Bible or God coming in from an outside source, burning the bush outside and telling me, thou shalt not say the word fuck. It's just not happening. It's not happening. But this freedom, this idea of freedom, this idea of slavery, modern slavery is a choice. Before, when they could physically make you, right? They can't do that no more. Do you know what would happen if you tried to force? It's called kidnapping. You go to jail. You get caught, you go to jail. And eventually, everybody gets caught. You don't get to traffic human beings. You'll get caught. Eventually, you're gonna get fucking caught. And there's some terrible things that happen to you once you get caught. Every time. No matter what. That's a 100% certainty that if you're going to be that kind of evil, well, you're going to get got. No matter how long you think you cupped it up, no matter how many people you hurt, when you get got, all those people you hurt, you're going to have to deal with the consequences of your actions. Period. See how I get joy in the freedom to execute a piece of shit? Execute. It's a very serious word, right? Removing an actual human being from the conscious collective. It's a very serious thought. I don't think people have ever considered the long-term ramifications of killing someone. It's just less in the world to experience. I digress. Freedom is everything. Your ability to decide what's in your life, who's in your life, what's affecting your life. That's literally your superpower to decide. The philosophy of free will that I've been speaking on, well, this is that backside of that whole philosophy. Because it's just like saying that you'll never do violence. Well, then you're not even a peaceful person. You're harmless. You're not contributing to the balance. Harmless isn't a balance. Destruction, that's a 100% certainty. Everything fucking destroys itself. Eventually, with time, decay, it all gets fucking destroyed. So why is it that we don't destroy mindsets and concepts and ideas? Why is it that we allow our freedoms to be taken away? Why is that? I've thought about it a lot, and I don't have a clue. Usually I got an answer. I'm like, look at this, and look at this, and look at that. Look at all these things. But when you get right down to it, when you get right to the heart of freedom, I think you're a bunch of pussies. I think most of you are fucking cowards. And you can be offended at me. That's all right. You don't know me. You're just listening to my words. You don't have to agree with it. But I think you're a fucking coward. I think that you could decide to change any part of your life right now, even though it's a Sunday. You could get up and be like, I'm fucking changing this, and then change it. And it's not that I'm speaking to you in such a way, it's that I know and you know that you could be free. Not that you are. We never started this conversation. We're saying you're free. I'm free. I've been free for years. Free. And I mean really free. And I have fought and argued with some people about that. I have went to fucking war for my freedom. Not because I gave it away. No. Because people made the mistake of thinking that somehow they had some fucking trump card and I wasn't free. That anything I'd ever done in my life, ever, somehow made me obligated or somehow made me somebody else's version of no. The best anyone's ever been able to make me do is go to prison. And then when I wouldn't conform there, they put me in a smaller box. And when I wouldn't conform there, they put me even in a fucking smaller box. And guess who didn't conform then either? This idea that anyone can take away my freedom, that anyone can make me unfree, that my mindset, not my body, fuck, not my body, my mind, that my mind isn't free, that I can't think however I want, that I can't express myself however I want, that I can't be in this world however I want until I die from it. That I have to think a certain way and act a certain way and be a certain way and fucking toe some kind of line for somebody. Nope. I deny it. I deny it, and I'm willing to fight tooth and nail to the death to defend the right that I am a free man. And there is nothing anyone can fucking do about it. You can lock me up. I'll get real free in prison. I'll have a lot of fun. Fucking cause chaos. I'll make them not want me to be in prison. And they always throw you in the hole when you start acting like that. Then you got better targets because just one on one now. The best they could do is beat you up in the cell. So what? They didn't kill you. You see? And that is the worst they can fucking do to you if you don't agree to the fucking their version of freedom. The worst. The worst they can do is give you a vacation in which you can be an absolute monster. You have that right. Now, if you've killed someone, you've done these crazy fucked up things. I mean, there's consequences to your actions. You knew it. You knew it before you did it. You got to own up to your own actions. You have to be willing to accept the consequences. I've always been willing to accept the fact that I could go back to prison at any given time, and I don't give a shit. Literally, you don't even. I could catch some random dude hitting some random woman on the side of the road and jump out the car and catch a fucking assault charge like it was nothing. I could see some dad whooping their fucking kid in the middle of a supermarket and shove his head through the fucking bread aisle and not feel bad about it at all. I literally have that ability in my head that I exercise the right to think about, then I ain't putting up with it. That not only is my freedom important, but the people around me, their freedom's important too. Everybody's important, period. There is no breaks. There is nobody less or more important. Somebody's freedom isn't less important than mine. It's just as fucking important. Kids, they don't understand yet. They're not being taught right, obviously, because that's not freedom. You get the fuck kicked out of you. It's not freedom. It's not freedom to terrorize people. If you're terrorizing people and you think you're tough, I hope I run into you. I hope I run into you. I don't shy away from experiences at all. I don't. I have the freedom to decide. I know this kind of seems like I've just been really talking about myself this whole time, but I wanted to express to you how I feel about freedom and how serious I take it in all things, how I think, how I act, how I talk. All of it's because I decided to be that way, period. Nobody else. And I have nothing to show for it. The only thing that's free is freedom. Everything else costs money. Everything else costs money. All of it. But freedom doesn't. Freedom requires you standing tall, no matter what. It's all that matters. If you're not free to make your own decisions, you're not living a life that you could have. If you're not living the life that you could have, then you probably showed up for the wrong reasons. And for those people that believe that we're here for no reason and is just to have the experience and all that, why are you watching my videos? Why'd you even show up for one of my TED Talks if you don't even believe in anything? Why why would you show up and watch what I have to say and the only thing that you believe in is money? Why would you come to one of my TED Talks as a slave, knowing you're a slave, and then want to get mad at me for thinking that you should be free? Because that's what the real conflict here is. It's not that I'm free, it's that I have the audacity to be free in a world where you've decided to be a slave. Isn't that weird? I don't know how else to express it to you. I don't know how else to yank you out of the mud. If you're free and I'm not, how come I get up every day and decide whatever I want to do? There's no obligations. You say, oh, you're not a responsible human being and you don't this, and you don't that. Bitch, fuck you know. Who the fuck are you to judge me? How much money you made in your lifetime? How many jobs you had? How many skills could you go and teach a class on? How many different ways have you made money in your life? Had anyone ever stopped to think that I had to go through a plethora of jobs and skills and different things? I had to literally work my ass off fucking 60 hours a week from the time I was 10 years old. You ever stop to think that maybe you're looking at a guy that was worked enough to be able to retire and never worked anywhere long enough to get a 401k or nothing? Nothing. Bottom of the barrel. Homeless, broke, staying on family property. Literally. The bottom of the fucking food chain. Not your hero. Not your idol. But one of the happiest people you'll probably ever meet. And that's because I'm free. No other reason. No special circumstance. There's nothing obligated on my life. The only thing that I even consider as a daily thing that I want to experience is to be a dad. That's it. You couldn't take that from me no matter what. Even my kids were gone. Getting to spend one day as a dad changed my entire life for the positive and never go back, ever. Never. The amount of love and the years of love that I've gotten at this point are like, it's indescribable. I'm showing up because I'm selfish, because the idea of loving your kids and your kids loving you back, of having people in your life, is just unconditional love, and only you can fuck it up and you still haven't, you know? I get greedy about that freedom, the ability to freely give my kids love. And there's hella restrictions. So many things going on. There's been so many tries to like destroy that. It ain't worked. It ain't worked. You can't use lies to destroy love. It doesn't stay destroyed. You can only temporarily delay it. And then it gets even bigger because it was a lie. And so, like, even though I rambled a lot, going on and on and on about my own personal experience, and even though I've described that I have nothing to show for it, I feel like the richest person in the world. There's nobody calling me, telling me that I am obligated to have my time be spent somewhere other than wherever I want to spend it. Period. Still got bills, still got responsibilities, still got worries, all those things. But what I don't have is that stress that's killing everyone. And that's because I'm free. No other reason. And I'm going to remain free no matter what. No one can ever offer me enough money to put chains on my own fucking feet. Never. Never happen. And I've already tested the theory a few times. I've been offered some rather interesting positions in life. They're all shit. They all had chains on them. All of them. And I'm not going to bend. I'm never going to bend ever. And you shouldn't either. Quit being a coward. Quit being a fucking pussy. Get free. This whole philosophy that I'm trying to express and hopefully not teach you, but give you something to think about, is about your freedom and about your ability. And while most things I've been very specific in a way that you can take back your power and become free, I didn't want you to forget that you're talking to a fucking free man. I didn't want us to get comfortable in like you feeling a certain kind of way based on these videos about who or what I must be or what I must prescribe to or the ideologies that must drive my life. I can wake up tomorrow and decide to go to fucking war and go to war with a smile on my face. And I mean real war, like fucking bombs dropping, fucking war. Same smile because I'm free and I'll go fight for my freedom at that level if I have to. So, nice long rambling video. Probably offended you a couple times. I'm sure I called you a coward at least twice. I did all this because, well, if you think you can affect my freedom, go ahead. It's an open challenge. I'm not even remotely worried about it. If instead of thinking that this is a good idea and that somehow you could probably use some of this to help yourself become more of a free human being, to feel less burdened by what the fuck's going on in your life, if you instead feel like, oh, look, a target, let's fuck with this guy. That's my favorite game.